You're now live on YouTube, and you're in control. So have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're now.
Good. Tracy, is she showing up tonight?
Tracy had told us at the last meeting that she would not be present this evening, but we are expecting Antonio.
Right. So I was just going to say, so we're 1, 2, 3. Andrew somewhere. Yep.
Antonio gets a pass.
Good.
He gets a pass. He's got.
Yeah.
He's probably asleep.
I was thinking the same thing.
Gets a pass.
How's everybody making out? Everybody good? No problems? No issues?
Quite
On
well.
personally, not work group.
Spending all my days on Zoom teaching. This has gotten quite familiar.
Well,
And here's Antonio.
Hello.
Hello.
Here we go.
Hi. Okay, so we have a full group and we are now live on YouTube. And I'm just
right.
hitting records to record the meeting from this point forward. Lorraine, who is the stenographer, is just logged in as well.
Okay. Let me know when we're live, Lisa.
We are live.
Okay, perfect. Cindy, do you have meeting minutes that we need to go over?
Yes, we need to approve the draft minutes from the September 24th meeting. And everybody was present, so we can do the vote without Tracy.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments on last month's board meetings? Minutes, sorry.
Nope.
Seeing none and hearing none, I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Lou seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So, all right, Cindy, so we're up to date.
We're up to date.
I think this is the first time in my tenure that we've actually had all the months up to date. We always have a month somewhere where we have, so. All right, Lorraine's there. Lisa, tell us about this application, which looks about as simple as it gets. Tell
Yes.
us, give us a little background on it.
It's about as simple as it gets. For the sake, in case there is anyone who's viewing this on YouTube now, this is the work session of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and comments will be taken when the public hearing starts at 7:30 when the chairman requests comments. So this application is a residential application in the RB2 Pine Tree Hill. It's Pine Tree Court. It's over near just off Scraggy Hill Road. There is an existing shed that is a pool shed that was put in. The shed is only 8 by 10, so it would not have required a building permit when it went in. That's likely part of what caused the error in its placement. It is placed 1.8 feet off the property line where 5 feet is required. Because it is on a concrete pad, it cannot be easily moved to another location. So they would like to legalize the location of the shed. And
All right. I guess that's the concrete pad is, I was going to ask you about relocating the shed would be difficult, but I assume that's what you meant with the concrete pad. It would make it difficult, correct?
yes, exactly. That, that
In your report, you made it.
Yeah, normally if it was freestanding, if it wasn't on a foundation, you could just slide it, a few feet. They have plenty of space. It's not one of these properties where there's not enough property. But I can go ahead and show you. Let me just see. I can show you the Amy sent photos today. If you want to see those now, I can share. I can pull those up.
And Lisa, it looks like from your report, they have a CO for everything?
Yes, they have a
Pool and
CO
house?
for the pool and the house. There, you can see that the fence is you know, it's right on the property line. So that you can't quite see because of this bush, but that's where the placement is.
And Lisa, it's only one property line. The property line behind it, which looks like a chain link fence, it's 8 feet off of that. Am I correct from the drawing?
Yeah, that is correct. It's 8 feet off of that fence, and that is actually the school property behind there.
Okay. So we're just dealing with the, looks like the east side fence line or property line that's in question here?
Yes, it's the east side property line. And let me see if I have an aerial here. Can you see this aerial view okay?
Yeah.
Tried
So
looking at an aerial today, but I couldn't get in enough to see it.
So these property lines aren't perfect, but you can get a sense here that the fence is located here, the shed's just over the fence, and the actual property line is basically on the fence.
Okay. And Lisa, what's prompting them to come in for this? They selling the house, or what prompted them to do this?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I suspect perhaps it's a sale or considering a sale and realizing that this is a problem. I haven't spoken to the owner themselves, but just looking at this, my suspicion is that they put in a shed that they didn't require a permit for, and they just didn't realize that there was the 5-foot setback required.
Okay. And they don't require a building permit because it's under 144 square feet, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the village's requirement. And Lisa, quick question for you. Is it John Dennehy, the owner, or Jody Dennehy? They have two names on this on the application. I wasn't sure.
I assume it's a couple.
Oh, that might be husband and wife. Too.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
But the one they say applicant's Jody, and they say the owner is John. So.
Oh.
Right.
They're co-owners of the property.
I'll clarify that. I'll clarify that when we go to the public meeting. That's not a problem.
Okay.
All right. Any questions or comments
Oh,
from anybody
Tracy.
on the board?
Hello.
Tracy is here.
Oh.
Yeah, I came to Florida, so I didn't want to have to.
I'm sorry, Tracy. We started without you.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So,
You canceled your trip?
we were just talking about the application.
Yeah, I did cancel the trip. So what were you saying about the application?
So just a quick summary. This is a very simple, straightforward application. It's in the RB2 single family residential district. They have a pool shed that was placed 1.8 feet off the property line where 5 feet is required.
And it's just the east property line, not the north property.
That is correct. And I can actually screen share that too if you want to just see that quickly.
Well, it's on the survey, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you have that in front of you, you know, but here, so you can see that it's 8.3 feet off of that rear line, but only 1.8 over here.
Yeah.
Lisa, do they have any of the pool equipment kind of hidden behind the shed? Is it serving any purpose for the pool?
They're using the shed for the storage for the pool. But Amy
The
can,
mechanicals are not anywhere near there?
I'm not sure actually about the mechanicals. That didn't come up, but it
All
does
right, we'll
not look from the
clarify that with
image
her
that
when
they're
we speak
there.
to her. All right, we'll clarify that when she comes on.
Why did they decide to legalize this now?
I think because, I mean, my suspicion is that it's because they came up while they were looking into selling their house. My assumption is this pool shed did not require a permit because it's under 144 square feet. So in all likelihood, they put this shed there for the pool without realizing that it was too close to the line.
The neighbor has a pool as well, right?
Yes. Let me see.
It's providing any privacy for the neighbor when they're in their pool.
From the lot lines here, you can see that the shed's pretty far back. The pool for the neighbors over here, it looks almost like perhaps they have a trampoline in the rear yard. I'm not sure, but it does seem based like on the placement of these things that I would assume it's not infringing on the neighbor's use of their yard. It appears to be far enough away from the house and the areas they use.
I have a screenshot looking west from the east property. If you like, so from 729 looking west at the fence. I don't know if that
Do you want me
matters.
to? Let me see. Let's see. If you want to email it to me, I can just
Sure.
screen
Yeah, I'll do
share
it now. Yep.
Hey, Dan, where'd you get that picture from?
From the Suffolk County NY.gov GIS viewer.
Okay.
Very resort.
If we bring it up during the meeting, we just have to make it as part of an exhibit just for part of the meeting.
Okay.
Lisa, is any concern that the survey is 2 years old? Did anyone go out in the field and verify what's on the survey appears to be what's in the field?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell the exact property line. I have to trust the surveys, the certified survey for that.
Right.
But it does appear to be that close to the fence. I did go by the property and take a look.
All right. I just want to make sure that there's nothing else out there that isn't shown on the survey, or everything looks about what the survey says.
Yeah. As we have a few minutes, I don't know if Kathy Ann has anything from the Board of Trustees for us.
I don't have anything. Oh, no, I don't have anything from the board this time. Thank you, though.
Okay.
What was the big meeting on, I guess, it was Monday night? Was it like barriers around and everything? Kathy?
Couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. There was
sorry.
it seemed like there was a big meeting at the town hall. They had all the police forces out and barricades and stuff. What's going on?
That was to simplify it. This Talk at Patriots, the ticket that was issued for them having a parade without a permit was supposed to be on that night in court. It had then become a Facebook issue where they were calling their entire group to show up at Village Hall to protest the ticket. So that was just preparation for that. But in the meantime, the ticket got adjourned to another date because when the caseload gets too big, to have too many people all at once, they then spread it out and adjourn some of the tickets. So that was one that got adjourned. A few people showed up. Code and Suffolk was prepared in case there were any issues. There wasn't, and they moved on.
Was wondering.
Yeah, it looked like a big deal.
Yeah, it did. I was like, wow, something big is going on down here.
Yep. Always good to be prepared.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
I can screen share what Dan just sent to me if you'd like to see that image.
Please do.
That'd be great.
So that's actually a really good image of the property.
Okay. Oh, so that's the shed in the lower right of the property.
Yeah.
This is going to sound like a dumb question, but what's that on the west side property line? above the pool, I guess above the pool from this view?
This here, I assume that's a trampoline, but I don't know for sure. I did not see that when I was looking at the house.
Okay.
I was kind of looking at this side
You
of it.
don't
I
know
didn't.
what it-
Well, this view is from 2011 also, so.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
It's interesting also that it's turned nearly on a 45 degrees so that it's only a tiny corner of it that's coming that close to the property edge.
Yeah, I was going to mention that one of the presumably one of the purposes of the 5-foot setback is so that any structure on your property can be maintained without having to leave your property. So in this case, most of the building is actually accessible because it isn't, it's set at that angle, and a lot of the building is not actually 5 feet off of it.
At least expecting any, did you get any contact from any of the neighbors or anything? Were you expecting anybody?
No, we have not had any contact from anyone regarding this application. So unless Cindy heard something I didn't, but
Okay.
I've had no interest. Nobody's called.
and just looking quickly at the date, they've had the pool CC is from 1998. So I would expect that shed has been there for a long time. Yeah.
Looks like it. All right, look, 14 minutes before the meeting, so any questions or comments? Other than that, we'll stand pat until then.
Yeah.
Lisa, do we have anything on next month's schedule, or Cindy, do we have anything coming down the pike for next month?
I don't have anything that has been submitted yet, but I do expect we may be receiving one application.
All right, the only thing is, Cindy, we got to figure it out because the third Thursday makes a clash with Thanksgiving. So can you do me a favor and just pull out your calendar?
Yeah, so if you look at tonight's agenda,
Cindy, you dropped out.
oh, if you look at tonight's agenda, I have the next meeting on there is November 19th.
Okay.
So it's already been scheduled. I haven't gotten any applications in yet, but I do expect one. It hasn't been received yet, so I don't have anything to. Excuse me?
Any idea what it's for?
No, I do not.
Okay. Anybody have any problem with the November 19th meeting?
I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow, Mark, let alone that far out.
Oh, come on. Should I just call your wife and ask her?
Probably. It should be fine.
Okay. I just didn't know if anybody had any plans or anything. I know none of us are celebrating Thanksgiving with our families because we're honoring the social distancing. So
actually, now that I just checked my calendar, of course there is something. I have a work hearing at 7 o'clock on the 19th. So I will not be able to attend.
Okay, so all right. Antonio, can you sit in on the 19th?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, excellent. What am I missing? Okay. Antonio, how's the baby?
He's great. He got a job, moved out. I can't believe it. Only took a month.
Great. You don't let him move out. You make sure he stays and pays rent.
Right. That's true. No, he's doing well. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for the kind card and warmth from the entire board. I appreciate it. Him and I appreciate it. Thank you.
If that's the case, how soon before grandkids?
Imagine. Yeah. Nowhere soon. So.
No.
Can't wait for number 2 next year.
Yep.
You look like you're getting a lot of sleep, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
About every 3 hours. What was that?
Lou just got number 4. He's on his 4th.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep. Lou just got a puppy.
Oh.
Did. Sure did. And my current dog, my original dog, is not too happy about it. To say that.
Oh.
That's okay.
Is it a boy dog, male dog?
We got it's a girl. We got a little
Oh, the
girl.
one that you have already.
Yeah, of course.
They don't like puppies. Male
No.
dogs do not like puppies. So they get
He's basically,
a little bigger.
this one's just the puppy's a little bigger, and so Oscar's hiding under the bushes outside. Kind of funny.
They have no patience for them.
No.
Now, there's some sort of etiquette with puppies that we don't even pick up on. Obviously, when they're rambunctious, but even when they're not, there's just something they're doing wrong that, like, older dogs sometimes just have to put them into their place. It's very silly.
Only the male dogs, though. The females tolerate them. The male dogs don't. The male dogs.
Oh, interesting. Well, we have a little male dog that's like, looks like he's a puppy, but he's like 7, and he's like Foghorn Leghorn, like the grumpy old man around all the puppies. It's very funny.
That I have the same thing with mine. My male does not like the puppies. Gives them a little bite now and then.
Well, this new one's going to be a lot bigger than the first one, so he's going to have to deal with it.
What kind of dog is it?
The new one is she's a yellow lab mix of some sort.
Oh, okay. Rescue or?
Yeah, she's a rescue. Yeah. You know, my first one is a very kind of foo-foo-y King Charles little thing. So I don't know what you're smiling at, Dan, because I know you have a small dog as well.
I find myself wondering what anybody tuning in is thinking. Puppy talk with Port Jefferson Live.
It's thrilling.
It's like the Port Jeff Times is half the times it's a dog on the cover making the front page news.
True.
We do have Amy's probably getting a good laugh. She's on, so getting to know your village volunteers.
Can we start early? No.
I was hoping we could
Fortunately, no.
stare at each other for a little while.
If we want, we can just turn off their cameras and turn off our mics for a little bit, take a little break, and then clue back in maybe a minute or 2 before the hearing starts, since we're still live on YouTube.
Sounds good to me.
Good.
All right, let's put a pin in this and we'll get back together in a minute.
All right.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Receive
Okay.
your absentee ballot in the mail. I'm calling to remind you to fill out your ballot and return.
Okay, it's 7:30.
All right.
Whenever you're ready,
Everybody,
Amy is
turn the
waiting.
cameras on, please. Okay.
Would you like me to let Amy in?
Sure, please. If the board members can turn their cameras on, please, and be present.
They're all here.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the October 22nd, 2020 Port Jefferson Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Tonight we have one application on the agenda. And Cindy, I don't have my agenda with me. Could you please read the agenda into the record?
727 Pine Tree Court, appeal number 558-20. Location off Jefferson Landing Circle. Tax map number is section 14, block 2, lot 2. Zoning RB2 residential. Property owner and applicant are John and Jody Dennehy. And the contact is Amy DeVito, care of Woodhull Expediting. The applicant requests an area variance to maintain an existing 8-foot by 10-foot shed, which is located 1.8 feet from the eastern property line, where Village Code Section 250-28A 1B requires the minimum setback of an accessory structure to be 5 feet from the property line.
Okay. Amy, are you present? And
I
can you hear me?
am. Hi, Mr. Chairman.
Oh. Hello, Amy. How are you?
I'm good.
Amy, I'm just going to have you sworn in by the stenographer. I'm sorry, I don't know her first name, so I'm going to ask the
Lorraine.
stenographer to swear you in.
Amy,
Lorraine, could you please swear Amy in?
Amy, raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
Amy, can you state your name and information for the record, please?
Sure. It's Amy DeVito, Woodhull Expediting, with offices at 1031 Main Street, Port Jefferson, New York.
Okay. Amy, I'm going to let you go ahead and do your presentation to the board, please.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My client is proposing to legalize a shed in his rear yard. It's an 8-foot by 10-foot shed. The shed is maintaining an 8.3-foot setback in the rear to the north property line and maintaining only a 1.8-foot setback on the east property line. The shed was placed in this particular location because it houses the pool equipment for the in-ground swimming pool, which is why it's in that north east corner. And I did discuss with my client, relocating the shed to avoid the variance, but unfortunately it is built on a concrete pad, making it difficult to move it because they would obviously have to pour another concrete pad and remove the existing one. So I took a look at the aerials in the neighborhood. It looks like quite a few people do have sheds and accessory structures in their rear yard. I'm not sure if they're quite as close as this one, But with that said, I don't feel that it would be any detriment to the neighborhood. I don't think that it's out of character for the neighborhood, and it clearly isn't creating any environmental issues. I did submit a couple of pictures of the shed to Lisa Rickmers in preparation for the hearing. And if you guys want to take a look at those. And I do have a comparable grant that was granted actually a couple of years ago. It was an application that I actually did over at 200 Washington Avenue. It was for a 10x8 shed located just about 2 feet off of the property line where 5 feet is required. And that was appeal number 543-18 from, where is the date?
Okay.
I can't see the date on this for some
Lisa,
reason, but it was from about 2 years ago.
okay. Lisa, can you
happy to answer any
please bring up Amy's pictures?
Yes, I will. Hold on.
All right, Amy, I'm gonna have Lisa bring up your pictures.
Okay.
Cindy, we're gonna make this exhibit 1 for the record.
Okay.
All right. Amy, you want to just walk us through the pictures real quick?
Sure. This is just a picture of the shed. If you're standing with your back to the rear of the house, you can see that the shed is not really protruding much higher than the 6-foot fence along the property line. The shed only measures about 10 feet at its highest point. And again, it does house the pool equipment, which is why it was located in that area.
Okay. Lisa, are there any more pictures or is this the only picture?
There's this one, which is just a bit of a closer look at the shed.
Could you just bring it up for us quickly, Lisa, so we just for the record?
It's right here. Mark?
If we give him a moment, he might automatically rejoin.
Yep.
Here he is.
Okay, perfect. I got kicked out. Sorry about that, everyone.
No problem.
All right. Amy, are you done with your presentation? Can we start asking?
Yes, I am. The only thing I'd like to add is that, this doesn't create any type of obstruction to the neighboring properties at all. Like I said, it is just, slightly above the 6-foot fence that's along the property line. And there is, some trees and bushes right behind it, which blocks the view of it, even with the fence. And that would conclude my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Amy, I just have a couple of quick questions for you.
Sure.
Just for the record, you said equipment in the shed. When you say equipment, do you mean the mechanical equipment, the filter, the
Yes.
heater, if there is there, and any other piping or associated filtration systems?
That's correct.
Okay. And the only property line to width is the east side property line, which we're 1.8 feet off of?
That's correct. The other, the north property line, it's maintaining 8.3 feet.
Okay. And on the application, we have a Jody Denny. He has the applicant and John as the owner. John and Joe's of the property, is that correct?
You cut out for a second there, but I think you were asking if they own the property, and yes, they do.
All right, there's two separate names on the application. I just wanted to make sure that John and Jody are both the applicant of record.
Yes.
And what is prompting the reason you're coming in today? Are they selling the house? Are they doing any updates? What prompted them to come in for the variance tonight?
They are actually selling the house. They're preparing to legalize not only the shed, but they are legalizing the rear addition, which was originally actually, I think, permitted as a greenhouse and then later converted to living space. So we're working on that. And as such, the shed obviously became a, an issue with zoning.
Okay, and that rear property doesn't require any variances or any, that rear addition that you're referring to doesn't require any variances?
No.
Okay. Does the board, any of the board members have any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, hearing none. Cindy, also appeal number 543-18. Could you just make a note of that in record that
Yes.
that was a comparable, and if we hadn't pulled
Yes.
that decision out, just put it in the file? Okay.
Yes.
That was November 29th, 2018.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. The date is not on this page that I have.
Okay, perfect. All right. Did anybody on the board have a question? Seeing none and hearing none. Lisa, do we have any public that would like to speak on this application?
There is no one from the public currently waiting to speak on the application.
All right, and for the record, this is a type 2 action under SEQR?
Yes, all decisions on residential area variances are type 2 actions under seeker.
Okay, just getting the information for the
Yep.
record. Amy, I'm just going to walk through the criteria, just answer them the best you can. I think you already have, but we're just going to do it officially. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties if we grant this variance?
No, not at all.
Okay, and you've made reference to other properties that have similar situations.
Yes.
Whether the benefit can be sought by the applicant by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue?
In my opinion, no. It would require him relocating the shed on a concrete pad and relocating piping that services the pool.
Okay. Whether the requested area variance is substantial?
In my opinion, this is a de minimis request.
Right, okay. Are there any adverse impacts to the physical?
Mark, you keep cutting out.
Or environmental?
I keep losing you.
I think I lost you.
Yeah. For some reason, you keep freezing. But there is no environmental impacts as a result of this application if it is granted.
Okay, and we would say this is a self-created because they are the ones who located the shed where it is.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Right. Okay. I'm going to ask the board one more time. Are there any other questions or comments for Amy on this application? None and hearing none. I'm going to ask someone to make a motion that we close the hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Tracy, did you
Is
make
that
the
you, Tracy?
motion?
I made the motion, yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Andrew, wait a
Andrew
minute,
seconded?
Andrew?
That was Lou.
It was me.
All right.
I beat you to it, Andrew. Sorry, buddy.
No worries. I always jump in there. No worries.
Lorraine, for the record, Tracy made the motion. Lou seconded
Oh,
the
Lou
motion.
seconded, okay, wait, Lou seconded?
And-
Okay. Go ahead,
Yes.
okay.
And all in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Right. No. All right. All right. And no opposed or anybody opposed? All right. Amy, thank you for your time. And as usual, you can follow up with Cindy on the decision.
Okay, thanks. It was good seeing everybody.
Take care, Amy.
Have a good one.
Yes,
Be well.
thank you, Amy. Have a good one.
Bye.
You too. Bye. All right. I
Cindy,
think this
should
is about as simple as.
Oh,
Yep.
hi, Lorraine. Yeah, thank you. We really, yeah, I'm sorry that you were on early. Yeah. 7:30. Yeah. So the
Okay.
public hearing's over now. We don't, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Bye-bye, have a good
Bye.
evening.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I think we. I think this is about as. I think this is covered under ZBA 101 in the training guide.
I agree.
We do have a 1.8 variance or 3-foot variance. Where 5 is required, but on the numbers we say it's substantial, but I think she provided us with an application, 543-18 of other applications that this board has approved, similar situations, shed-like structures on close to the property line. I think the numbers make it large, but the reality is it is a small variance.
I think the fact that it's 60% of 5 feet means it's pretty small, and the fact that it's just a corner, like the amount of area of the shed close to the fence would be a lot more if it was 1.8 from the fence along the whole face of it. Instead, it's just this little wedge of triangle. I'd even vote to call it a minor variance. There's nothing in stone about the percentages over at 50%.
Right, and in the past, we've actually, the board has approved variances on 2 property lines, usually sheds catty-cornered in the corner of the property.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to sit here and talk with you, but I don't think there's much to this application. For the record, it's a type 2 applicant. It's a type 2 under SECRA. Lisa, I forgot to ask Amy if she got the report. I did screw up there. I'm assuming you sent her the report for the record?
Yes, I did. She has the report.
Okay. That being said, does anybody have any questions or comments on this application?
I was catching a recent sort of, local government training thing that suggested that we are legally required, and you've been really good about this recently, to go through in our, I don't know if it counts in the public hearing. I think we need to have a conversation explicitly about the 5 criteria and not just gloss over them, that we're all in agreement. And you've been really good about doing that in the meetings, but this guy actually suggested voting on them. Not that was legally required explicitly, but it sort of makes sure that you get it in the record. You see what I'm saying? Like a separate vote on all 5 criteria.
I always try to make sure that the criteria, whether it's in the public meeting or in the meeting minutes that Cindy keeps for us, I always try to make sure that we go over them. I also try to always try to bring up the SECRA, because I know in the past someone had mentioned that.
Well, he was saying if we don't explicitly discuss each of the criteria in the work session before the vote, that it's not binding. I don't know how much that holds. Maybe Allison wants to weigh in, but
I would hesitate before we start voting on each criteria individually, because the vote really takes place on the resolution for the overall. I think generally speaking, your board has been really, really good about going through the criteria and deliberating where you fall on them. Because again, under the area variance criteria, it is a balancing test. It's not like coming out 3, like you have to get at least 3 of them in favor. The board, you can find only that it's not negatively impacting the community, but all the rest of the criteria could be found in the negative. And you could still have a perfectly valid grant. Unlike use variance, where you have to meet all of the criteria. I do agree with your speaker that you should talk about all the criteria individually, which again, I think you cover very well. But on individual motions, on individual criteria, I would hesitate to go down that route.
All right, that's fine then. We'll keep doing it the way we were. It was interesting that it caught my attention that he was recommending that even for area variances, and that if we didn't discuss them all explicitly at all, that it could call the decision into doubt. So just bringing it to the meeting.
Yeah, I haven't seen any case law on that specifically, because again, the board has pretty broad discretion when it comes to the balancing of the 5 criteria, because again, it's not a straight up and down. But I mean, in a use variance, that sort of thing might actually be a useful tool. So that way everything's quite outlined, because those 4 criteria, you have to meet each and every criteria in order to approve. But again, due to the fact that the area variances are a balancing test and the board has very significant discretion to weigh any one of those criteria more than any other criteria, the only criteria that you can't use alone to deny something would be that whether or not the application is self-created hardship. That is the only one that you can't consider in a vacuum against all others. But other than that, you have very, very broad discretion to consider each and every one of those criteria in whatever amount of weight this individual application that's before you calls for.
Understood. Thank you. And now that we've belabored the simplest of applications, thank you for that. It's always good to go back over. But I think we're all pretty good, so we should probably discuss them one by one.
Yeah, I'll just run through them real quick. Just for the record, this variance has nothing to do with a building permit for this shed. Because the shed is under 144 square feet. This is strictly that has to do with the location. Once approved, it doesn't then allow a building permit or anything because one's not required. Just to walk through it again, whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. It would be my opinion that it's not. She produced of a piece of property that had a shed 2 feet off the property line. I don't think it's causing any detriment. It's been there since probably at least 2011 from what we can find out, and we haven't had any issues. Any comments or questions?
No.
Whether the applicant could achieve it by some other method, probably not. He would have to rip up his whole pool system, his whole backyard. It definitely was, at least the piping system was installed back in 1998 for the pool. So I think that there's no other way to achieve this. You can't move it. There's a slab in place and everything is fixed, tied into the mechanical system. Any questions or comments? Whether the variance is substantial, I would say mathematically, yes. In reality, I don't believe it is a substantial. Any questions or comments on that?
I agree.
I agree is awesome.
All right. Whether the proposed variance would have any adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. There's nothing with the variance. It's a basic pool system. There's nothing in there. It's not keeping any not keeping large bulk chemicals or any type of flammable liquids or anything that we're aware of. It's probably just a standard shed. So I don't think there's any issues there. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, I would say yes, because they're the ones who located the mechanical system. Questions or comments?
I agree.
All right. That being said, I'll make a motion that we approve the application as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second. Oh, tied you, Stacy. Go ahead and take it. Stacy seconded.
All right, so I made the motion. Tracy, you seconded the motion.
Yes.
Everyone in favor? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The motion passes. Cindy, did you get all that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. If no one has anything else tonight, I'm gonna bid everyone an adieu. Any other questions or comments?
I feel like I'm talking to my conscience right now without your video.
Lou, if I was your conscience, I'd be saying other things, trust me.
And on that note, folks, have a great evening.
Good night.
Everyone
Good night,
have a good
everybody.
evening. Stay safe.
Thank you all for your help.
Good
Bye-bye,
night.
everyone.